Cannabis is changing fast, so you don't have time to waste. MJBizCon gives you the tools and the connections that you need to survive and thrive in 2023 and beyond. Join us in Vegas, November 15th through the 18th, and you'll find 35,000 power players in cannabis, 1,400 vendors who will fuel your growth, and fact-based insight on election results, growth projections, regulatory reform, and business management. It's your one real shot to gain a competitive edge in cannabis. So you get your tickets today at MJBizCon.com and get 10% off using promo code PODCAST. That's MJBizCon.com, promo code PODCAST, and we will see you there.
That there's just the universe coinciding and all of us coinciding with the same outcome, showing that if we pay attention to some of this dis-ease, some of this interference, and we give it our intention, not only what we do aligned with trying to heal, say, think, believe, but most importantly, feel, and utilizing the 5 levels of intention, plus what we focus in on, create these coincidences.
Welcome to the Miracle Plant Podcast, the show that inspires, promotes, and gives you a daily dose of inspiration from the people who have used cannabis to change their lives in extraordinary ways. Here's your host, Justin Benton.
Welcome back to the Miracle Plant Podcast, where we discuss this miracle plant with so many names and how it's helping people in so many extraordinary ways. Today we have a crazy special guest on. It's the way that this power of the universe works. I was in a chiropractic group with some folks, and they pointed me to this guy, and they said, "You got to meet David. He's amazing. He's incredible. He's got a mission very similar to ours." And our mission, obviously, as you know on the podcast, is to reach 1 billion people by 2025 about the power of this miracle plant. And we get to have on the Miracle Plant Podcast show today David Meltzer, who is on a mission to reach 1 billion people as well. So hopefully we'll have some cross-pollination here where we're also reaching 1 billion people to help them, empower them to be happy, to be successful, to run the businesses and to run the missions that they're out there. So David, welcome to the Miracle Plant Podcast, and thanks for hopping by. How the heck are you doing?
Fantastic. Just loving my enjoyment of a consistent, persistent pursuit of that mission of empowering over 1 billion people. And it takes partners of people like you. People ask me all the time, well, how the heck are you going to get there? And I said, well, all I need is 1,000 people like Justin or Janet or Dan, 1,000 people that I know will empower 1,000 people to empower 1,000, 1,000 times 1,000's a million, million times 1,000's a billion. We can create a collective consciousness, and through that consciousness, create, less dis-ease. And I think what motivates me or inspires me most about being here on a Saturday is that I am on a mission to put people at ease and to identify what puts us at dis-ease and alleviate that by putting us into the flow, into an intelligent, intuitive, and inspirational state.
Love it, love it, love it. Well, I'm so glad that we got connected and that Sean sent you my way and that we were able to get everyone on the same page so we could share these very common missions that we're after to empower people. And disease is a big thing that we talk about here. Real briefly, our story was we were looking for an answer for my son who had developed a severe autism diagnosis after he was healthy, and we had to figure out what that disease was, what that dis-ease was, and it was through food and through supplementation, and ultimately finding juicing cannabis or hemp was the thing that unlocked his brain, that unlocked his body to be able to heal himself, and he no longer is on the spectrum, which helped us, which motivated us to help so many other people when we saw how it helped so many other people in so many other different ways. And so I know that before we went on here on air, I know Dan, and I wanted to welcome Dan and Janet. Welcome to the podcast as well. I know we're a lot of excitement here. We got a lot going on. And I know, Dan, you had a question for David. I think that would be great if you wanted to ask him about that, because I know that's kind of where, with all of David's background in sports and celebrities and all the things that he's done before, and how that cross point, that cross pollination is. So if you wanted to ask that question, go for it, Dan.
Sure. Well, everyone on this podcast knows I'm a big Bills fan, and when I saw that you ran Leigh Steinberg's organization, the Agent of the Stars, and I mean Bruce Smith, Thurman Thomas, all people from my era. I mean, I was like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to have David on the show. This is so exciting. But I also found out that you guys represented Ricky Williams. And I'm sure most people know the story, but Ricky Williams walked away from one of the most successful NFL careers because of his position on cannabis. And I just would love to maybe hear your feedback, because you were involved with him or worked with him and know him really well. What was that like when that all went down?
Well, it's so interesting because, there's what people see and what goes on behind the scenes. And so the cannabis usage was, as the steroid usage in baseball was well known. And there was a variety of things going on to make sure that people could still use the healing properties of cannabis, but, stay within the constraints of the rules, regulations. And that's really what happened with something that isn't good for you, steroids, comparatively to, what has been a political and economic disappointment of the United States, with the illegal use of cannabis or CBD or hemp. And so for me, I've known Ricky since he was young. Ricky went to the same high school that I went to. And we represented most of the guys who went to my high school, Eric Karras and Matt Noakes and Kofler and Ricky and Chris Riley and golf and all these different guys. But Ricky also lived with Dan Fleischman, who I've mentored as well since 19. And we took a company public when he was only 20 years old, one of the youngest guys ever to take a company public. So I've been with Ricky Williams, Dan Fleischman since they were in high school. And, many relationships while he was at the UT, and then signed him as he was with Leigh, as I was the CEO of the most notable sports agency. But, to this end, it was very stressful for Ricky, who, really beats his own drum, and he knew the healing properties of cannabis. And he still obviously is, probably one and will be known as one of the grandfathers of this effort and this campaign, because there's millions of people like you that have miracle stories of the miracle plant, and in a variety of different usages, ingestion and smoking and topical and all the variant ways that it's being utilized today and will continue to be utilized in the future. So Ricky is an inspiration. In fact, he is going to be featured on my TV show. We have an Apple TV show, which has been on Bloomberg and Amazon Prime, but it's the first late night entrepreneurial show filmed in Las Vegas at my studio at the Wynn, called Office Hours. And so we're going to delve deep into, with Ricky, kind of his mindset, heart set, and handset in the past, in the present, and where he sees it in the future.
Yeah, it's just really exciting stuff, and I just can't wait to get. I was listening to your podcast this morning, talking about, and I can just see how all this stuff ties together, and so similar to what Justin in the Miracle Plant podcasts are doing. Your mission and working with these people, I'd love to hear more about it.
Yeah, so and why I'm so excited to be here. I'm looking for the right people to help me. I know that, I work with Deepak Chopra and speak on stages with him and Sadhguru, and I sit on the Transformational Leadership Council. So I'm always looking for the truth. And in pursuit of that truth, I'm looking for other people that are pursuing the truth as well, that don't buy into the interference or live by what other people tell us. We are individuals on our own journey, and we can decipher our own situation. And so it takes people to empower other people, to create this collective consciousness. And I will tell you, out of all the things that I've worked with, I worked with Dr. Connolly when they invented the original bioactive dairy protein called Metrex. And then GNC bought that and diluted it, and it didn't have the same type of impact that a active dairy protein would by creating interference and mixing it, etc. But out of all the different solutions that we've worked with, nothing is more powerful than the miracle plant. There's nothing that has the properties with less side effects, organic in its nature, but so powerful to reduce inflammation, to reduce cortisol, to create a balance, and to clear, as I call the interference or the dis-ease. And so, working with so many different athletes, celebrities, entertainers, billionaires, millionaires, and entrepreneurs. And we put those people on my podcast to hopefully not only raise the exposure and awareness to what they're doing, but to help them empower other people to empower other people. So we've got over 1,200 of the biggest names in the world. And we talk about issues like this. And it's amazing when you put yourself out there, how consistent the data is. And as someone who leads entrepreneurs, I will tell you that the fastest growing entrepreneurial space is this one because so many people have personal stories, emotional attachment to the miracle plant and what and how their life has changed, just as you have, Justin, and so many other people have as well.
And it's been an amazing ride, and it's been a tough ride for a lot of us, regardless if you're on the legalized cannabis side or if you're on the hemp side. It's been an arduous road, but it's been well worth it because, like you said, so many of us have these connections to, whether it's your child or a loved one or yourself or whatever it is, and you found that miracle that you were looking for. And then you just feel this calling to continue to pay it forward. And again, the biggest difference with our products, which I'm happy to hear that you got some when you got back from your trip to Europe. So that's why I was like, proof's in the pudding. And I didn't know that you were such a cannabis enthusiast and such an expert on it. So I really look forward to hearing how you, interpret and experience the power of raw cannabis, which is what we actually came across with Dr. William Courtney when he was juicing cannabis to help treat patients with late-stage cancer. And that was the kind of the inspiration for us, along with our holistic healing, modality when it came to the whole plant, the whole raw CBDA, THCA, CBGA, all the cannabinoids, all the terpenes, all the flavonoids, everything. Over 500 plant constituents that this plant has. So excited to meet you here on the podcast and collaborate, and I'll be one of your 1,000 that reach 1,000, and you obviously will be one of my 1,000 that'll reach probably more than 1,000. So we both can reach our 1 billion people and make a real difference in this world. So again, I definitely am so excited to have you on the podcast. I do want to throw one quick question out to Janet is my mom. She was the holistic healer that really guided our mission with food and nutrition, which led us to another food is what we look at it with the hemp cannabis for my son. Did you have any questions there, Janet, or did you have any insights that you wanted to bring in about this miracle plant?
I always do, but I'll keep it brief today. I just wanted to say, too, I was so excited. I listened to some of your podcasts. I'm always looking for someone who's spiritual and metaphysical and gets the big picture. And I was just impressed by everything you had to say on that. And again, too, my passion is healing. And I'm a psychologist, and then I'm also an integrative nutritionist, which work great together. And my focus at this point in my life is using the CBDA, the raw hemp, especially for kids or whatever, you just want the raw hemp, to heal and to find a plant that literally regenerates the nerves for not only pain, but for the brain. And so that's just, to me, the hugest thing. So we do everything we can to get the word out that if you have these sorts of issues, especially like autism and neurological disorders or just plain pain, the raw CBDA is the magic potion or the hot sauce or whatever out there. So I'm always trying to get that message out there, and I'm just so excited and honored to have you on here. Great leader, fantastic.
Oh, you're too kind. And it's so interesting, with all the variant backgrounds that we have. And, for me, as an oddity of being, not only a leader in technologies, I was Samsung's, CEO of their phone division, which is why Leigh Steinberg hired me, because he saw the future in sports being in technology. But then even moving forward into the spiritual side of things. I'm a quantum healer. I've studied in India for years, quantum healing. I've studied physics, metaphysics, and quantum physics. I also, have great mentors like Sadhguru and Deepak Chopra and Jack Canfield and Bob Proctor, who recently passed. And, in all of the different backgrounds and expertise, including Jim Quick, who, if you haven't met him, he would be an outstanding person to speak with. Jim Quick is the memory master. He was the boy with the broken brain who now coaches, everyone from Will Smith to The Rock to all the biggest stars in Hollywood about memory. When he was young, he had a brain injury, and they called him literally in the boy with a broken brain. And he taught himself to create different connections, alternative connections in his neurophysiology. And he then also has utilized cannabis as well to heal himself and his own clientele. So he's an interesting person for you to meet. But my point is, Janet, that we all come from different backgrounds but come to the same conclusion. And I always say there's no coincidences, that there's just the universe coinciding, and all of us coinciding with the same outcome, showing that if we pay attention to some of this disease, some of this interference, and we give it our intention, not only what we do aligned with trying to heal, say, think, believe, but most importantly, feel, and utilizing the 5 levels of intention, plus what we focus in on, create these coincidences. And I think to me, most encouraging and most statistically successful thing about what you're doing is too many people from too many backgrounds are coming up with the same coincidence, which tells me that there's a potential or a truth that lies within that coincidence. So thank you so much for everything you do. I appreciate your support as well.
Are you ready to make a career change? Is cannabis your passion? Find the right job at a great cannabis company today with a free account at Vanx.com. Vanx has spent years developing relationships with the top cannabis companies. So whether you're looking for a temporary gig at a music festival like Outside Lands or a C-level position with a large MSO, Vanx makes it easy. Simply upload your resume and credentials at Vanx.com to connect with companies directly or talk with one of their expert recruiters. It's all free through the Vanx platform. So what are you waiting for? Get the career you've always wanted by signing up for your free account at Vanx.com. That's VANGST.com. And learn why so many people are proud to work in cannabis.
David, I was listening to one of your podcasts. Part of the podcast, you talked about vibrations and frequencies. And it was really fascinating, but you only referred to it. I was hoping that maybe you could continue on with what you're just talking about there, but you were talking about how the earth has a certain frequency and plants and animals have a certain frequency. I thought that was so fascinating, and I think it ties into what a lot of the stuff that we're doing. And I certainly don't understand it. So maybe in the short time we have remaining, you could just give us a quick overview as to how that works.
Yeah, well, this changed my whole life as I sat on an airplane, closed-minded, closed-hearted, and closed-handed, running the sports agency as a multimillionaire with access to what only billionaires could afford, and in an ego-driven lifestyle, a scarce lifestyle, edging goodness out of my life. A healer was next to me as I sat on the plane. She's also a medical doctor who told me that I was blocking my light. And when I got over myself and after rolling my eyes at her, I said, well, what do you mean? And she said, well, you only can be aware of that which vibrates equal to or less than you. And you're blocking your vibration, your frequency, that you are connected to this great source that loves you more than your mom loves you. And you're blocking that omniscient, all powerful, all knowing source. And everything vibrates. And I kind of rolled my eyes again. I said, okay. She said the earth vibrates the slowest, and then plants vibrate faster, and then animals, and then humans, and then sound, and then light, and then thought. And then she rocked my world by asking me a question. She said, do you know what vibrates the fastest? And I kind of rolled my eyes in the egotistical, arrogant self that I was. And I said, no, I don't know what vibrates the fastest. And she said, the truth. The truth vibrates the fastest. And I can teach you to vibrate faster, to elevate your frequency, to clear the interference between what you're seeking more of, more happiness, more health, more wealth, more worthiness. I can teach you that you are happy, healthy, wealthy, and worthy, and teach you what you're doing to interfere with it, and teach you how to clear that interference. And lo and behold, one of the things that allow us to clear the interference between us and our potential, us and our vibration, us and our higher selves, us and our higher frequency is the miracle plant that allows us to be at ease, that creates more dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins, clears cortisol and inflammation, allows us to be more into the flow mentally, spiritually, and physically. And regardless of the intake or the usage, it has the same result. And it is completely aligned with this understanding of vibration and frequency. I tell people all the time, your frequency is your neighborhood. And as you're aware of your new neighbors, those who existed in your neighborhood, but you weren't aware of it because your frequency was interfered with. And now all of a sudden, the right options, opportunities, and touches of favor are in your life because you have elevated yourself, living at a higher self by clearing the interference, by utilizing the miracle plan and your organic information or frequency in order to effectuate the clearance of that interference, which is truly how your own son, uh, became more aware and eased what was putting him at dis-ease via, this solution. So if I look at things, including my meditation, in the realm of physics, it's a realm of vibration or frequency, knowing I can only be aware that vibrates or is at the same or equal to or less frequency than I am. So I'm constantly enjoying that consistent, persistent pursuit of my potential, knowing I am a higher self, trying to shift the paradigm of, instead of getting more, to simply clear the interference of what I already am. And that's why I'll take up any Saturday morning, anytime, to join you, Justin, Dan, and Janet, on your mission, on our mission, to help people live their best lives, to do their best, learn lessons, have fun, to make a lot of money, help a lot of people, and have a lot of fun as well. I want to thank you for this opportunity. If anyone wants, I give everything. I would say if it's free, it's we. You can email me, David at D, my first initial, last name's Meltzer, like seltzer with an M, David at D Meltzer. Just reach out. I'm happy to send you all my books, my guides, my exercises. All of it's free. And I'll even sign a book, send it to you, pay for shipping and the book. Don't worry. I'm on a mission, and hopefully all of you will join me on that mission.
Well, love it. I don't think we can wrap it any better than that. I really appreciate you hopping on the Miracle Plant podcast. Like you said, there are no coincidences, and I'm so excited that you got to share your insights with our audience. And I look forward to collaborating with you on some projects that we got coming along, and just wish you all the best. I know you got some great TV shows and some other speaking engagements. Did you want to throw that out to the audience before we wrap?
I'm just blessed. I have the podcast, The Playbook. We have several TV shows. I have an executive produce Entrepreneurs Elevator Pitch. We have 2-Minute Drill, which is a pitch show that you win $50,000 of cash and prizes, and a TV show called Office Hours. I speak around the world. I do free Friday trainings. Now that it's October, it's been 23 years. So every Friday, come join me for free training. It's on every platform. You can email me to join me there as well. Books, guides, exercises, just email me and I'll find something or how I can be of service or value, david@dmeltzer.com.
Love it, love it, love it. Well, at the end of every podcast, we say heal the world, because that is our mission, to reach 1 billion people. So everyone on stage and everyone who's listening, and even if you're hearing this on a podcast, unmute your mics and join us on the count of 3. We say heal the world. So 1, 2, 3. Heal the world! Thanks for swinging by the Miracle Plant podcast, and we'll see you next week, 10 a.m. Clubhouse. Take care and be a blessing, everyone.
Thanks for listening to today's show. To check out more great cannabis podcasts, go to PodConx.com. Here's a preview of one of our other shows.
Hey there, my name is Leah Babrudi, and I'm the founder and host of Canna-Chicks Podcast, where I discuss cannabis, psychedelics, and other natural medicines. I not only interview people who use them as treatment for different conditions, but also the entrepreneurs who share their knowledge on how they built their businesses. If this sounds interesting to you, give my show a listen. I'm sure you'll learn something that'll surprise you.